A Fox News host has called out Donald Trump for spreading lies about the British healthcare system. So now the British healthcare system is the NHS, right? It's the National Health Service. And so what it does is that it basically covers everyone and costs about half as much as the American system. However, just like in the US, conservatives seem to hate the fact that healthcare actually is provided by the government. In this case, they actually go further than Medicare for all and do government sponsored hospitals as well. And so conservatives, the Tories, hate that system. They think, wait, why should the government be continuing to provide healthcare free from a profit motive? No, we actually want this to be more like an American system. And so here you have Boris Johnson actually talking about privatizing, and as well as the Tories, pieces of the healthcare system that have been pushed. Again, privatization has been pushed by these conservatives, and they want to make it more like America. Now, Donald Trump and the Republicans here, of course, agree with that. They're very supportive. And Trump himself seems to have made changing the NHS part of his trade tactics with the UK. Now, again, the UK is right in the middle of Brexit, trying to get out of the EU. Once that happens, the UK will be able to trade with the United States unilaterally. And so now, this impending trade deal with the UK might have some stuff in it that involves the NHS. Now, there's a lot of denials going around. There's a lot of twists and turns in the story. But for one, Trump just denied that he wanted anything to do with the NHS. And he said he didn't know how rumors started that he wanted to put the NHS up for sale as part of a trade deal between the United States and the UK. Okay. So that did not fly with Fox News, interestingly enough. Here you have White House correspondent John Roberts, who said this on Twitter. Quote, Trump said today that he doesn't know where the rumor came from that Britain's NHS would be on the table in a new trade deal with the UK. It came from his press conference with Theresa May on June 4th, 2019. So back then, Trump said this during that press conference, quote, when you're dealing in trade and everything is on the table, so NHS or anything else, a lot more than that, but everything will be on the table. Absolutely. Gee, I don't know where we got that rumor from that Trump is interested in putting the NHS. Again, he doesn't have anything to do with the NHS. Obviously, he's the American president, but says we should negotiate with the NHS, with the conservative party that is in charge, so that we can privatize pieces of it to make it more American, so that there's more of a profit motive in the UK's healthcare like America. Yeah. Okay. So now following this, Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn called a reporting on the NHS's potential turnover to the US based on a leaked, unredacted 451 pages of trade documents, evidence that conservative leader Boris Johnson's denials were in tatters. Again, saying, oh, no, we don't want this. We support the NHS. What are you talking about? It's all lies. Remember, there's an election coming up very soon in the UK. And here comes Jeremy Corbyn's Labour Party, and they're a little bit worried. The NHS is actually incredibly popular in the UK. And so any talk about it, it's a lot like saying, we're going to cut Social Security. Notice how in America, during every election, even Republicans that have constantly tried to cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid say, oh, no, we're trying to save Social Security. We're trying to save Medicare. We're not going to touch those programs at all. In reality, is like I said, they constantly try to cut it. In fact, one of the last budgets that Trump had put out cut nearly $1 trillion in Medicaid, sorry, and I think it was $300 billion or close to from Medicare. That's what they want to do: cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. And so, cutting the NHS for Britons is almost the same thing. It would have the same kind of reaction. So now Corbyn said this: We now have evidence that under Boris Johnson, the NHS is on the table and will be up for sale. He tried to cover it up in a secret agenda, and today it has been exposed. So now this is obviously more damaging to Johnson. Again, in the UK, the NHS is well liked. If you try to replace it with an American style system, well, there's going to be a disaster at the polls. In fact, a lot of people in the UK don't quite know how bad the American system is. They know it's bad, but when basically presented with the information of how much things actually cost in the American system, Britons freak out. In fact, there's a video here from Politics Joe in the UK, and they did some man in the street, and they got the reaction to some of Americans what we pay for healthcare. Watch.
Ambulance call out. How much do you think that costs?
Zero payment.
Zero payment?
Yeah, zero payment.
No. It costs $2,500.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
you look. An inhaler.
$100.
Yeah, you're pretty close. It's a bit more.
120
250 to 350.
for an inhaler.
Yes.
Man, so if you're poor, you're dead.
So 2 EpiPens. Okay. How much do you reckon they are?
$80.
600.
$40.
I'm afraid not.
More?
More?
$100.
More.
150.
More.
250.
More.
Shut the fridge.
More.
£300.
Double it.
$600. What? Why?
That's a very good question.
$600.
Yeah.
And there's, of course, plenty more where that video came from. I'm going to put the link in the description. You should watch the whole thing. But their reactions, very surprised and almost like, wait, you pay that much for healthcare? That's insane. And again, as that young lady had said, so basically if you're poor, you just die. Yeah, basically that's what happens here in America. I think the number is about 45,000 people die each day from lack of access to healthcare. And so that's what the American system will bring the UK. And there are people out there that want to privatize it. They look at that, and again, the companies, the people, the politicians, they look at that and they say, well, we can make money off this. We can get paid. Who cares if people die? That's the system in America. And again, you should watch that full video, but seeing the reaction shows that how disastrous touching the NHS will be for the Conservative Party and for Boris Johnson. And so here comes Jeremy Corbyn. Here comes Labour. And what's interesting, circling back to the beginning, here you have Fox News reporter calling him out and setting them both straight, Johnson and Trump. Strange times indeed. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.